Here's what's really happening in WandaVision. The MCU is back and weirder than ever thanks to the slow burn sitcom mystery of WandaVision. This hit Disney Plus series has fans feverishly speculating about who's behind the TV tropes taking over the small town of Westview, how Vision is back in the land of the living, and whether Wanda Maximoff is still an Avenger at heart, or if she's about to become the big bad of the Marvel Cinematic Universe during Phase 4. But as you know, we have plenty of theories of our own here at Nerdist, and we've strapped on our finest Vibranium-foil hat to try and get to the bottom of what's really going on in WandaVision thus far. Our resident Marvel maven Rosie Knight has a deep dive for you over on Nerdist.com, which I will link to in the description below as well. Now that said, in order to talk about these theories at length, we do have to spoil the first 3 episodes of WandaVision, so if you haven't watched them yet, please take a page out of Geraldine's book and find the nearest exit. Alright, so what's really going on here? Well, the way we see it, there are 3 primary possibilities, each with their own variations, which seem like the most likely answers for the many mysteries of WandaVision thus far. Now, there will be some crossover between said theories, but these are our best clues as to the terrible truth behind this surreal series. Now, that said, let's start with the most obvious answer that we think. It's a reality bubble created by Wanda Maximoff. So after the tragic losses of both her brother Pietro and the love of her life, the Vision, Wanda didn't quite get the closure that other characters did at the end of Avengers Endgame. And after a life marked by tragedy, including the death of her parents at the hands of Tony Stark's weapons, and being a human guinea pig for Hydra, she deserves a happy ending, the likes of which she probably only knows from television. Now, the Scarlet Witch is perhaps the most powerful Avenger of them all. When she arrives in Infinity War, she not only takes out Thanos' army like they're nothing, but she's powerful enough to destroy the Mind Stone. Plus, Kevin Feige went on record in a comicbook.com interview revealing that she could have taken Thanos down single-handed in Endgame had he not nuked her from orbit. So clearly Wanda has the raw power to transform an entire suburb into the world where she, as Agnes puts it, is the star of the show. Wanda is the star, the director, and the editor of the TV show in which she's living. We've seen it when she chokes out Mr. Hart for going off script in episode 1, when she rewinds reality when the Sword Beekeeper emerges from the sewers in episode 2, and the weird conversational blip in episode 3 when the Vision gets a little bit too close to the truth. But the subset of this theory asks whether Wanda's really the one behind this. After all, in episode 2, a Sword agent asks through the radio, "Wanda, who's doing this to you?" Now, the most popular theory is Mephisto. As we all know, the demon Mephisto could be anyone from Dottie to Wanda's dead brother Quicksilver to a series of animals like the lobster, Senior Scratchy the rabbit, the stork, and maybe even Sparky as teased in the upcoming episodes. He's a dog. Now, this demon has ties to Wanda, Vision, and most importantly, their children in the comics. And this would make a ton of sense, narratively speaking, because he also has many connections to Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, whose upcoming movies will also directly tie into the events of WandaVision. Now, the second candidate is Nightmare, a Marvel villain who's the evil ruler of the Dream Dimension, drawing power from the psychic energy derived from sleeping beings. Now, if he has Wanda trapped inside of a dream and is using her reality warping powers as a conduit to maybe project her dreaming subconscious into our plane of existence, then it's no wonder we're going to need the likes of Doctor Strange to come to her rescue in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And last but not least, we have another familiar face from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Dormammu. Now, we first met this Dark Dimension denizen in Doctor Strange, where the Sorcerer Supreme trapped him in a time loop to stop him from taking over the world, and as we explained earlier this month, there's a comic book precedent for this, Avengers Defenders War, and that could tie together not just WandaVision, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and Spider-Man 3, but Eternals and Loki as well. Now, of the 3, this does feel like the least likely, but if you want to know more, I'll put a link in the description below. But what if Wanda isn't the end goal here? What if Westview's actually a prison for all sorts of people with powerful magical abilities? As we saw in episode 3, Westview is surrounded by a mysterious force field as well as a small army of Sword agents. And as a reminder, Sword in the MCU stands for Sentient Weapon Observation and Response Division, so it makes sense they'd want to keep tabs on people who are living weapons like Wanda Maximoff and the Vision. Now, this theory posits that rather than Wanda keeping Sword out, Sword is trying to keep Wanda contained in Westview while they figure out what's really going on here and who's manipulating her. Perhaps if Wanda's power goes unchecked, all of Earth could get sucked into her weirdo TV realm. But much like the commercials that run through each episode, the flip side of this theory harkens back to Wanda's past. Hydra and/or AIM could be behind this, and as we pointed out time and time again, many of the characters in WandaVision like Agnes, Herb, and Dottie do have powerful comic book counterparts, and Hydra could be imprisoning them. Agnes is almost certainly the witch Agatha Harkness, Herb could be the skilled geneticist Herbert Wyndham, aka the High Evolutionary, and Dottie might actually be Arcana, a powerful magic-using superhero from the Squadron Supreme, a supergroup from a parallel reality, which is convenient because we're heading towards the multiverse. Now, as we learned from Captain America the Winter Soldier and Avengers Age of Ultron, Wanda and Pietro were Hydra's guinea pigs in their youth. Baron von Strucker used the Mind Stone encased in Loki's scepter to amplify and draw out their innate superhuman abilities. And while Hydra has been quiet for a little while now, we do know they're still up there and up to no good. So perhaps they've been biding their time and now they want to reclaim their old living weapon, Wanda Maximoff. Now, in the comics, AIM, or Advanced Idea Mechanics if you're nasty, is Hydra's science and weapon-focused arm who are easily identifiable by the beekeeper-esque uniforms they tend to wear. And at the end of episode 2, who should emerge from a sewer but a man in a mysterious beekeeper uniform? And while it's emblazoned with the sword logo, remember how easily and thoroughly Hydra infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D.? Yeah, there's no reason their sister organization couldn't be just as porous. And adding further fuel to this fire is the repeated refrain in episode 2 of For the Children.
For the children.
For the children.
That might be Hydra or AIM's way of subtly reinforcing they want Wanda to produce superpowered offspring that they can then take and mold into super soldiers for whatever nefarious end they ultimately dream up. Last but not least, we come to option number 3 to explain what's really going on in the world of WandaVision. They're all dead. Well, everyone except Wanda. As we know, Vision, he's extremely dead. And reports about a deleted endgame post-credit scene where Wanda recovers Vision's body means that she's using her hex magic for a deeply upsetting Weekend at Bernie's situation. But what if Wanda is also doing that with an entire town? What if her grief is so powerful that she turned the suburb of Westview into a magical necropolis? Now, Herb seems like he's on the verge of spilling the beans in episode 3. He's about to break down and tell Vision exactly what's going on here, saying about Geraldine that she came here because we're all... But Agnes cuts him off. We're all what, Herb? Trapped inside of here? Yeah, we know, that's pretty clear. We're all powerful magic users? Maybe. Or is it that we're all dead, meaning they couldn't leave if they wanted to because Wanda won't let them rest? Or if Wanda found out, they would die again and lose their second lease on life. Since Geraldine is alive and well, it makes sense why they might be concerned that Wanda is talking to her, because if she puts 2 and 2 together, they might shuffle off this mortal coil. Now, beside all of that, episode 1 is called Filmed Before a Live Audience, a reference to the fact that, like a sitcom, they actually filmed that episode in front of a live audience. But that audience and the intruders, like Geraldine, could be the only thing alive about Westview if this theory proves correct. And of course, that is a big if. Of these 3 theories, I think this one's the weakest. I think the strongest is actually the first option about reality bubbles and someone more powerful than Wanda pulling her strings. I think that's the most plausible, but I do love how genuinely buck-wild some of the theories about this show are. That said, we'll have even more clues come this Friday when WandaVision episode 4 drops on Disney+. But in the meantime, folks, tell me, what do you think of WandaVision thus far? Which of these theories do you buy into the most, and why? Let us know in the comments below, and for the latest and greatest in the world of pop culture, stay tuned to Nerdist.com.